Christenson, Cleanfax Editor. I'm speaking with Tammy Biggerstaff, 911 Restoration's Director of National Accounts and Corporate Sales Trainer. One of her primary goals is to teach her team the commercial side of restoration. No small task, I'll say, right? So with training taking a leading role with many restoration companies this year, I thought it was a great time to speak with Tammy and all that she's been accomplishing. So Tammy, you have an extensive career in restoration. All of us who don't know you, tell us your background, how you got started in restoration, and what your role at 911 Restoration looks like.
Okay, great. Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you so much. Well, my journey started probably 18 years ago when I got into restoration, and I was probably in it later than most people. I've always been in a sales role. This role kind of came to me, and I took it thinking it's something different. But in actuality, I love what I do, and I've grown into it for 18 years. So I actually started in this field as just an outside salesperson, going and seeing plumbers, agents, commercial clients, residential, things like that, and then just progressed through and realized I really liked the training aspect of it. But the biggest thing is when I first started, I was given a car and business cards and said, "Good luck, kid. Hope you can do it," right? So it took me 3 to 6 to 9 months to learn everything. So as I started learning, I thought, I don't want other people to go through this. So as I started learning, I wrote my own ebook on restoration sales, and everything that I did, I put it in there, from selling to plumbers, to residential, to commercial. Commercial is my big push, because that's really, after 2 years of selling residential, I went into commercial and it was like an aha moment. I was like, nope, this is where I need to be. So I've been doing commercial now for 15 years. But along the journey, I did write a 100-page ebook and made it into sections where I could train my team. Because over time, I grew to a sales manager. At one point, I was managing 15 offices. So I needed something that would really help. And that's what I did. So training is very important.
Wow, I'll say, that's great that you did that. And 911 Restoration really places an emphasis on that education and training. So can you tell us about your new franchise training sessions and what you hope they accomplish?
Yes. No, I'm very excited because I've always done sales training with my team. I used to do hour meetings with each office, right? So that they have that independent. And then I do a meeting every other Friday, a sales meeting for the whole network, where we teach different things. Like last week, I did municipalities and how to sell to municipalities. This Friday, we're going to do how to present a disaster prepared plan correctly. So we give them that. Then on Mondays, we do group training where everybody gets together and talks about where their pain points are in their industry and in their territory. And then from there, we just kind of help each other. Other than that, I just started with the owner creating a library. And so what we did is we took my book that I had written. It's written out by pieces, and we took every piece and made it a learning tool. So there's videos that you go through, there's questions that you have to answer, and it starts from the very beginning of sales and goes all the way through to commercial networking, things like that. So we want them to know a little bit about everything. We don't want to do what everyone else does in the past, gives you business cards and says, good luck. We want to do better.
And that's great. And I think you're spot on with what's going on in the industry. So why has education and training become more important to restoration professionals now than before? And why do you think it will remain critical moving forward?
Well, I think in the world today, everyone is starting to lean on AI, right? Or ourselves included. But it doesn't take away from the relationship, right? Like most people don't trust AI. They use AI as a tool, but you can't trust it because you can't feel and touch it. We still need to build relationships in the industry. So what we have done at 911 is we've created different paths of relationship building, but also with Sales Incorporated. So what I do now, like for instance, with the national accounts, we have built things to where we're not a vendor, we're a partner. And I position myself to where we're a partner. One of the things that we do for our partners is we give them weekly restoration training so that they can be a better partner to their client. So each week or each month, I'll say, we take a topic and we invite every PM, every maintenance person, anybody in our industry of clients that wants to learn about restoration. We believe in it, right? We think if you know how to do moisture mapping and moisture readings and things like that, you'll be able to talk better with your client, know what to look for when you walk into a building as a PM. So we've started to do all of this training, and the results are incredible because now I have 20 to 30 clients that get on our training every week, right? All their PMs, their maintenance. We're going to be doing quarterly flood houses. I have people calling me saying, I'll send my clients in, or not clients, I'm sorry, I'll send my employees in from other states. When is this going to happen? So I feel like they really want the connection. Most people just go to look for the job. I got the job. Okay, good. I'm gone. We build long-term relationships. So it's not just about the daily job. It's about the relationship from year to year.
And that's great that the education and training leads to all of that, like building stronger relationships, because if nothing else, the restoration industry is about caring and that relationship building aspect of it. And, that leads me into the next question here. More women continue to look at restoration as a profession. What is the best leadership advice you've ever received, and what advice would you give to young women aspiring to leadership roles, particularly in restoration and cleaning?
I mean, I think in today's market, I love seeing more women in restoration. I feel like being moms, we multitask a little better than most. So I see the difference between us and males in the industry. I myself have always been in a male-driven environment, even before restoration. So I would tell women coming up not to be scared, not to look at it as it's a male industry, because there's more and more women coming in. I've noticed that even with my client base, when I'm talking to maintenance supervisors or vice presidents of offices, they're becoming more and more women. Less men are playing those roles as leadership. And I see more women coming in. If I see probably 30 clients a month, which is what we try to go see physically, fly in and see them, there's maybe 1 out of 10 men that sit at the table with me. Usually the decision makers are now becoming women. So why wouldn't there be decision makers on our side if there's decision makers on that side? So I believe any woman can flourish here, and they should. And they should not even hesitate to move up the ladder, because that's what I did. And I loved my job the most. As far as leadership, the best leadership that I ever had besides this company, I will tell you, I have a great relationship with my CEO, Mary, and I tell her all the time, you are a great inspiration for women as leaders. In my last network, they were great leadership, and they mentored you, and they actually took you aside and said, we see a lot in you. Here's what we'd like to do for you. Here's how we'd like to mentor you. I think that's important. I think we should always push that forward to everyone.
Great advice. Well, and to wrap this up, what do you expect for 911 restoration this year? And as we look ahead, what do you expect for, franchising in the restoration industry overall?
Well, I think the restoration industry is actually is bouncing back. We had a soft year last year. I think everyone said it was a hard year, even our carriers. But what we're looking for is we're transitioning our client base. And that's what I think is a really good thing. I only work right now with commercial clients, but we're going even deeper with them. Trying to be more specific in areas of coverage where they really need stuff. We try to be a national account, but we realize to be national, we need more offices, right? And we're working at that. And our pace this year is double what it was last year. But the growth that we're going to see this year we've already started seeing it. So just in the jobs, the average job we used to get was 3 to 5,000. Now, because of all this work that we put in with our clients, they believe us, they trust us, we built the value. Now my typical job is coming in at 20,000, 30,000. So we see less jobs, but bigger jobs. And I think that's the comfort level and the trust that we built with them, that they could send those to you and they could turn those over to you. You know, it's easier to turn in a $3,000 job. When you get to a $30,000 job, that's when people start getting nervous, you know, and the fact that they have the confidence in us to do it says everything for me.
Well, that's great. I can't wait to see what you guys all accomplish this year. I wanted to thank you for your time today and all your great insights.
Great. Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.